Here to discuss the 7 actions to onboard millennials in your dealership are Jennifer Suzuki, President of eDealer Solutions, Inc., and Tom Carney, instructor with NADA Academy. Please give them both a warm welcome.
Welcome. My name is Tom Carney, and I'm an Academy instructor here at NADA.
I'm Jennifer Suzuki, President and founder of eDealer Solutions and a guest instructor at the NADA Academy with Tom.
Okay, thank you, Jennifer. So today we're here to talk about 7 actions to onboard millennials in your dealership. The objectives that we want to cover today, number 1 is update pre- and post-time processes to attract and retain younger sales associates. We'll get into why that's so important with some data. Identify pay plans that will actually motivate and keep that sales force intact, and prepare consistent training programs that will engage your new hires all year long so that you can promote career growth for them. So one of the data composites that we use for NADA is called the workforce study, and the workforce study is sent out to thousands of dealers, and the data that comes back allows us to measure what's happening in the workforce with the employees. So I'm going to share some of the numbers with you as we progress. On this slide that you see, the earnings growth for dealers has definitely been stifled over the last couple of years. Keeping in mind that the sales for new vehicles 2 years in a row have been an all-time record high, yet the dealers are still only throwing out 2.2 cents on a dollar. What's causing the strain on the profitability of dealerships? And we believe it has a lot to do with the high turnover and lack of retention. So what the workforce study indicates is that you see the retention numbers dropping from 3.8 in 2011 all the way down to 2.4 in 2015. The reason why we want to dive into this is because employees become the most productive when they reach year number 3, most productive. And as you can see, it's dropped to 2.4 years. And you have to ask yourself the question, what happens to our customers over a 3-year cycle of purchasing a vehicle? They come back to your stores. If the original employee isn't there because they left in 2.4 years, we have a lot of orphan customers. We lose our customer retention, and we're piling up tremendous costs because of this turnover. By the way, a side note is the Bureau of Labor Statistics shows that the workforce tenure in the rest of the workforce throughout the United States is actually 4.1 years. So the automotive setting is definitely behind what the national businesses are showing. So some key statistics or key points are that the 33% of all sales consultants actually reached the 3-year key milestone of employment at the stores. Number 2 is that the turnover in the sales force is 67%. We can't sustain that because that is going to continue to pile up the costs at the dealership, and I'll touch on that in a moment. And the average dealership hiring efficiency has been around 65% for the last 4 years, and what that means is overall, if a dealer has 3 openings and they hire 3 people, they're only retaining 2. Moreover, if they have the new car department or sales consultant, statistic is 50%, meaning that for every 2 sales consultants we're hiring, only 1 is actually staying at the dealership, meaning we have this constant churn going on. So some key points to that is that 39% of the terminations happen actually within the very first 90 days. And the point to that is you got to ask yourself the question, what's happening in that first 90 days that we're losing these employees? Did we hire wrong? Are they not trained? Are they not engaged? Is the pay plan wrong? What is going on with the structure that these individuals are leaving us very quickly? The next point is the millennials have actually the greatest increase in new hires in the automotive industry, and they're your employees and they're coming your way. So now it's becoming more important than ever in the car industry to do something about that, to keep these folks working for you. So some pre and post work hiring process, areas where you can improve this particular issue that we're flushing out What do we do? How can we make improvements?
So a couple of things that we've talked about so far that you're hearing is we're looking at not only statistics that can drive changes in the dealership, but we're seeing this big red flag of turnover as being our main core issue. And as we go forward today, let's talk about how we can hone in on that problematic area and how we can offset some of these numbers to start seeing a more favorable situation for our dealerships. And I think about even my own experience and first selling cars. It was difficult because I was thrown out there and expected to sell 20 cars and there was no training. And as a trainer in dealerships now, every week I'm actually able to identify the new person that just started. And I know who that person is because they look lost. They are sitting around the dealership, unsure of what to do, and I frankly believe that oftentimes management doesn't even know they're there or who they are, and they haven't communicated internally. So I think about my own experiences, what it's like on a first day. There's a lot of anxiety, there's a lot of excitement at the same time, but when they show up to the dealership and nobody anticipated them, what's that feel like? And so, in thinking about, how can we get people excited about the opportunity at your dealership, I think about even putting things at their desk to make them feel appreciated on first day. But before first day even comes and where we can introduce them to the next department and all of the department heads, it requires a little bit of communication. Some of the things that I've been implementing in the dealerships and thinking about this person and retaining them is, number one, planning for their arrival. So what I've seen is the general manager would then send an email, an introduction, an introduction that would say, hey, we know who you are, and I want you to meet so-and-so. And this might be one of your team leaders, right? This might be one of your team leaders that you've tied them up with, and you've introduced them via email, and now this team leader contacts the dealership and says, all right, contacts our new hire and says, hey, welcome to the organization. Do you have any questions? Do you have any concerns? And I'm going to be here to help support you. Let's put a date together that would allow you to come in, and I can set up a meeting so you can meet all of our department heads. You could get a chance to meet some of the employees here. But again, we're planning on a pre-first day, and so they get an opportunity to meet the staff. The other things that I've been seeing work is having this team leader, this person assigned to help this buddy up with our new hire. I've seen them set up email addresses in advance, and that is really helpful because we want our new hires to get out there and start communicating with customers, and we kind of need an email address. The other thing that I see the problem is where we don't even have a computer, or we don't even know how to log into the computer, or a workstation hasn't even been set up for this new person in your organization. So this would be something that this person would handle for you. They would even put together maybe a cheat sheet or something, so when they come in, they know exactly what they're going to be tackling. So in any event, we've got all the department heads that meet this person, and they get maybe a flash drive from you with some training materials. Now remember, we're not even on first day. So this person gets a flash drive with all of your training curriculum that you anticipate executing over the next 3 years. I know what you're thinking. Oh my gosh, we only have this year, or maybe not even that. But as you plan and go forward, and thinking about how do we retain somebody for 3 years, remember 2.4 is where they're falling off. We got to get a little bit more professional in what we bring to the table to help people advance in their careers and stay in their careers. So you give them maybe a thumb drive, or maybe you're using one of the shared file programs. But we want to make sure that this person has a career path in front of them. So again, it's pre-first day. They have a 3-year game plan of upward mobility, where we're going to be planning on advancing you. But more importantly, what are the expectations today? Whether it's a 30-day expectation, a 60-day, or a 90-day expectation, we're going to take it even further, but let's just start here. These are going to be goals and benchmarks and expectations that we put forth from day one. So in that way, I get the most. As a manager, I get the most out of this person as soon as they start at your dealership. Now, this I think is kind of a big deal because oftentimes new hires are not only aimlessly looking around, but they have no idea how they're going to get paid because we failed to give them a pay plan up front. And I'm hoping that pre-first day, your general manager will make the effort to sit down with this person and say, hey, let's have a look at the pay plan that we talked about in the interview process, and let me get you a copy of that. All right, here we are, the exciting first day. Remember, retention, 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 that's what we're going for. So boom, this person walks into your dealership, they already know people, they're feeling great about first day, and as soon as they get to their workstation that you've already set up for them, there's balloons or cupcakes or a good luck tree plant. I mean, something that says we care. We give gifts all the time to customers who just come in for a test drive. But we're looking to make people feel great about this experience at your dealership. So now this person's sitting at the workstation, they've got their cheat sheet with all their logins, and they've got business cards. I know what you're thinking, first day business cards. Yeah, but that makes people feel welcomed. They know where the lunchroom is, we've showed them where the bathrooms are, and if you have an ongoing meeting at say like 8:30 every single day, they know exactly where that meeting is and exactly where to be. Now, our general manager, he welcomes this person on the first day they come in. Our general manager welcomes this person. It's his first day on the job, and they have a one-on-one meeting. And in this one-on-one meeting, we're going to cover a lot of things. We're going to cover our pay plan, our career path, our growth plan for the next 30 days, and we're going to have a look at all of our scheduled meeting times. Again, it's just setting forth expectations. Hopefully, we have some paperwork that's a little more cleaned up. It's not necessarily paperwork anymore. Maybe we're using some of the more modern tools that would help them get online, fill out all of their HR paperwork. And so now we can get going on that and put that behind us. This is day one. And now, because we've already set everything up, this person can start training online and starting doing the factory OEM training, or maybe even some other training that you have internally. But we're going to get them started on being successful in your organization on day one.
Thank you, Jennifer. Very structured. And so what I'd like to do is take what Jennifer has talked about and move it a little forward into some examples of some pay plans that are out there. And we're going to talk about maybe one or two pay plans. And sometimes you have to balance both of them as we transition and recognize what's going on with these millennials. So the pay plans really should cover performance-based and volume-based, and they have to be transparent. Transparent because the millennials demand it. And if you take a look at the pay plans of the past in the auto industry and some other industries, but particularly the auto industry, it's not very transparent. We have percentages of grosses, we have minis, we have packs, we have all these things going on, and now we want to present it to a millennial, and they have no idea what they're getting paid every month. Salaries and bonus, commission plus bonus, those are some things that can be incorporated into it at a smaller level, but we have to consider the older employees that we still have there that are used to that type of a plan. How about year-end bonuses? What about a retention bonus? Jennifer had a slide up there a little earlier about the millennial and their college degrees. These millennials have paid $30, $40, sometimes over $100,000 for their college tuition fees, and they come to your dealership loaded with this debt. They have to make those payments every single month, $700, $800, $900 a month. Why not leverage that into a retention plan where we pay a portion of that over 3 years or 5 years? Get them to buy into the fact that you care about them, it's transparent, and the money is out there. This is not happening right now in the industry. Tuition student loan subsidies, this is becoming more and more popular. You take a look at companies like Starbucks, this is standard operating procedure for them. Consider that because it's very important to the millennials who want to be trained all the time. So an example of that is a sales manager's pay plan is typically based on gross. And the disconnect that we have is we now have this new workforce that's coming out, and we're telling them that it's volume-based. We want to get the volume up. So we've structured a nice volume program with a little bit of an incentive for gross, but have we considered what's going on with the sales manager? And what we're finding at dealerships time and time again is the sales managers, because their pay is gross and they have developed a relationship with that customer, they have put themselves on the side of that customer. They have social network with them. They know the name of their pets. They know where their cottages are. They know all the details. And now when it comes time to finalize the paperwork, the desk manager is coming out and asking for another $1,000 in gross. What do you think that does for the trust and transparency with this new sales consultant and the customer? It goes up in flames. It falls apart. So consider the fact that if we're going to pay our millennials on volume-based, we've got to consider to do the same thing with our managers as well as from the gross-based. They have to be in alignment. I'm going to share with you a couple of examples. This first example is from a dealership that is in Florida area, and they were very frustrated because they had almost 100% turnover of their sales force. They know it was costing them money. They couldn't find quality sales consultants to work there. So they came to the academy and sat down with us a couple of years ago and said, look, this is what we're going to try to do. We're going to develop a base salary. We're going to change the name from sales consultant to product specialist or distribution analyst, something not sales consultant oriented. And what they found is they went from having no hits on monster.com to they had more people jumping onto their website, coming out, filling out applications online that want to come work for them. And these were quality folks that came from, they were geniuses from the Apple Store. They came from Best Buy. They came as cashiers from Target. So they were quality folks knowing that that transparent salary is $2,500 a month with a little bit of a focus on unit sales, some smaller portion of front-end gross, and some individual incentives for volume. And one of the other pieces on this example is it was serendipitous to the dealer who put a $50 bonus for the CSI awards, or to get the CSI money for Hyundai. Didn't think twice about it, and what happened was this new group of salesperson jumped on it, and the next thing you know, this Hyundai store went from the bottom all the way to the top in the district, and they took that as a best practice as they moved on and took this module, modified it, and took it to a Nissan store in the center of Georgia. So in this, it's a medium-sized town, and they said, you know, this works so well, but if we make a couple of tweaks and we create some tiers within the organization, so we have a team leader, a first captain, and a sales consultant, and pay them a base salary and incentivize them with volume-based and get them to work together. And Jennifer's going to talk about how important this is later, but work together as a team. They build this family, they build this network together, and they're helping each other all the time. Additionally, this dealer put in a mandated 50-hour work week, and if you were going to work more than 50 hours, then you had to have it approved by the general manager. Otherwise, you had to go home. So another very important element for the millennials, they're very conscious of the time that they're working. So another piece to this that you're seeing on the screen is that they developed a retention plan starting in year one at $25 per vehicle that gets paid after 10 months back to the first unit, and then $35 for year two, $45 for year three, $55 for year four, and so on, year five, $65, $75. And by doing that, you have now stretched out and you put a vision for that employee to stay with you, knowing that they're going to be collecting money more than just for the first 30 days, first 90 days, and then get blown out. They have a vision. That's only one piece of it. Pay is only one piece. Jennifer is going to talk about the other piece of that that's just as important as the pay. But to simplify, these employees, when they come in, isn't it great if you could just show them a one-page of job description versus the job descriptions that I challenge all of you to go back and take a look at in your company manuals or your PDFs that are pages and pages and pages. This is very simple. The pay plan's transparent. My job requirements are very transparent, all on one page. Why wouldn't they want to work for you? So the recap on that particular dealer was that the pay plan has been in place since 2015. They have 3 teams selling significant volume, 60 to 75 units a month. They recently modified the pay plan because they wanted to ensure that they were getting volume, 30 cars over a 3-month period. There was some anarchy that was going on. They objected to it, so the general manager said, okay, look, here's what we'll do. We'll back it down to 24. It's a rolling 24, but you've got to get back up to the 30 sales. If you sell 24 on the rolling 90 days, we're going to drop the salary from $2,400 to $1,500. They all agreed to that, and that was a way that they weeded out some of the folks that may not have wanted to fit into that sales consultant position. But the bottom line on this is over the 12 months period, the first 12 months they had this in place, their turnover went from 100% of the entire sales force of 16 people to 2. Tremendous savings in cost, in gross, to that organization. It was tremendous. So one other pay plan that I want to just touch on is another smaller group in the New York area that loved what they saw, and they took it a step further. They reduced the weekly time to 42 hours, and they set up 3 teams, Team A, B, and C, and these 3 teams rotate on a certain schedule so that all teams get a Saturday off every single month. So that is, again, very important element, but I thought something that was unique on this particular one is the fact that it's structured very simple on volume, bonuses, some gross elements, and CSI. It's easy to track, it's 3 areas, and it has been very successful. In fact, this dealership was actually bought up by a larger public group just recently for a significant amount of money. They did want to be sensitive, though, because this dealership has been around since 1911, or this group, so they wanted to be sensitive to the older employees, and they kept a separate pay plan in place to keep them motivated and offered the option to go to this new volume-based millennial plan. The final example I wanted to make before I turn it back over to Jennifer is another smaller group that believes that pay plans do actually control the behaviors of some of the processes that you want to achieve within the store. And if you take a look at the area that's circled, they talk about spiffs, but drive the spiffs into an area that is a metric on percentages of calls to close, or percentages of some activity that you want to happen within the dealership, and put a specific dollar amount to bonus it. In this particular case, it's $50. Millennials don't need a lot of money to do this, but it's slowly controlling those behaviors and getting those behaviors the way you want them to be in line. And on the other hand, the bottom half is called whiffs. Whiff meaning that if you're missing it, then there's going to be a penalty for that whiff. And in this particular, there's several examples here. The one I like is they have one called Old Man Dan. And Old Man Dan means you didn't take the minimum amount of ups for the month, so you were charged back $25 on your paycheck. Or if you show up to the dealership late, you receive a $5 penalty on your paycheck. Not a lot of money, but again, it's driving the behaviors. Pay plans. Use them to your advantage. Motivate your folks. What do they tell us?
I would say that you've got to have that vision before you create the perfect pay plan for you.
Well put.
We've seen a lot of different dealerships over the last couple years execute these pay plans in their dealership and see a lot of progress, the reduction in turnover. More importantly, I think you're starting to see a higher CSI. And so not only tackling the reduction of turnover, but you're seeing an increase of great surveys, better reviews online. I think that when you look at some of those spiffs and whiffs, some of the things that I have seen successful from those outcomes is when you don't have good contact information in the system, in the CRM for like an incoming phone call. I want an email address on every single one. You pay on how many email addresses we got in the system for every incoming sales call at the end of the month that each salesperson took. I mean, maybe it's $25, maybe it's something, but they're behavior driven. I like to see tasks completed in the CRM. Again, behavior driven spiff. I've seen where if you get 5 dealer rated reviews in the course of a month, you get an extra bonus for things like that. So think about what you're trying to accomplish in your dealership, and I think those pay plans can give us those outcomes.
Yeah, very good. Very good.
All right. So the third element of this, and how do we onboard millennials in your dealership, is to have a game plan for success. And we've executed a few different development ideas for dealers over the past couple years and seen them make adjustments to them. And here's one example that you can have a look at on your screen. The thing that stands out the most for me is that millennials like to know that they have opportunity for growth in the dealership. And we saw statistically at the beginning that this was a big problem area. And then of course, we've got younger people that want to learn and they want to know that you got a game plan. For me personally, I feel like a lot of younger generations, they're not just interviewing your store, they're interviewing several places, and not just in the auto industry. And you want to shine. You want to rise above all of your competitors out there, and this could be the one big area. Not only do you have an awesome pay plan with flexible hours, and you've got a title that doesn't say sales consultant, but maybe logistics coordinator, like Tom mentioned, but now you've actually got training in your dealership that's consistent, it's on a regular basis, and I can see what I need to accomplish. So you're going to tell a lot from this person too, because you give them something like this, and they say, okay, from 0 to 90 days, here's what we got to accomplish. And here you can see we got a new hire training, factory training, you got to sell 12 cars, right? And then the next set of numbers is you're going to see anywhere from like 91 days to 180 days, and you've got a list of training curriculum there as well. So phone training, used vehicle selling, again, product certification, you got to sell 25 cars. Now, what would you do if somebody said, well, boss, wow, geez, I could do all that in 30 days. And you're thinking to yourself, all right, well, I'm going to feel great about that guy in my dealership. And so with that being said, it's just important that you think about what this 3-year game plan looks like in your dealership. And most dealers that I know that have been using this, something like this over the past couple of years, they've made a lot of modifications to it. Some people like phone training to happen in the first 30 days, and some people don't even want people selling cars in the first 90 days. So it all depends on what your vision is and how what works best for you. But know this, it's okay to change. You know, it's part of the growth right now. Anytime my phone sends a system update, I'm like, oh wait, maybe we should try and reassess our processes. Some of the most progressive dealerships that I've been working in that are executing all of these components we're talking about here today have probably made at least 4 pay plan changes in the last year alone. And I've seen this thing progress. But now if I was to take one of those elements from the career path, and for me, I focus on phone sales and converting non-present buyers in the dealership. So I kind of pulled out some curriculum here and to give you some examples as you format your own. That, you know, those were basic bullet points, but let's just take out phone training and let's show a younger generation, well, here's what we're going to focus on when it comes to phone training. This is everything that we're going to execute, and we do it week by week. I believe in stacking skill sets. This is what helps people learn their job and get better and better and better at their position. And so when you look at something like this and you've got it mapped out, week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4, 5, 6, 7, right, and it just keeps going on, but you've got titles with each one of these. Now this person can see the vision. Now whether they tackle it all at one time or they space it out over time, that's really up to you to decide. But one thing is for certain, we have to be prepared for the younger generation entering this marketplace. We have a 60% probably currently millennials in your dealership, and they have higher expectations. They have different expectations than what we have known to execute in the past. And so it's time to see it as something to pay attention to and plan accordingly.
And if I can add just one thing too, at the Academy with all of the general managers and directors that come through, that are doing this, that are being brave enough to make these changes, when they go back, the big point that they make is don't give up. This is something that takes time. It's a cultural shift. And even though it gets very frustrating and after 2 or 3 months you just want to give it up and go back to the old way of doing it, that's when things fall apart. And that's the message they wanted me to say to all of you out there is get a vision, like Jennifer said, put together the plan, build your pay plan, build your onboarding and career goals, and stay with it. Don't give up, because we're changing the landscape one dealership at a time throughout the country. And that should wrap us up. So thank you.
Thank you.